Welcome back, young wizards. Today, I'm going to tell you what it means to be a wizard. You don't have to dress like that. That's just what it looks like in fantasy. Sure, you've seen Gandalf the wizard, or Saruman the wizard. You've seen wizards in Harry Potter or in other lore, and you think, oh, that's magical, that's fantastic, that's not real. Well, I come here today to define these terms for you, much as I do in many of my shows. Epistemology is the definition of words, more or less, to understand the reality of the world. And so today, we will describe the word wizard. A wizard practices and studies and perpetually improves his understandings through diligent research, hard work, and countless hours. Through discipline and dedication, perseverance, he's able to elevate his understanding of the world to ridiculous levels, in ways that to many others seem impossible. How does he know this? How does he do this? It seems like magic. Magic, another thing that's fantastic, another thing that's unreal, right? Magic. Where have I heard that word before? Say the magic words. What's the magic words? You know them. Please and thank you. Why are these the magic words? Well, because they have an effect, a magical effect, on other people, such as most spells do. And you don't think of them as spells when you're saying the magic words, but if you're spelling words like P-L-E-A-S-E, you are spelling, and if you are announcing it with your voice, you are casting your spelling. You are spell casting. Am I blowing your mind yet? Okay. Most people don't think it's that interesting, don't think it's that ridiculous. But I promise you, this is what it means to cast spells. Your politicians, your public speakers stand at podiums and they cast forth their spell in an attempt to affect other humans. They carefully spelled out each word and then very intentionally came and set the background, set the clothing, set the hairstyle in order to have the maximal effect when they cast their spell broadly, in order to, in other words, broadcast their spell. You call it propaganda or spellcasting, but I prefer the term spellcasting. In Dungeons and Dragons, the game Dungeons and Dragons, don't lose me here, they describe different classes. Dungeons and Dragons is basically a game where you sit around and imagine a medieval world where you could have been kind of anything, and you group collectively tell a story where other people are playing their own character, you're playing your own character, something like that. And the books describe different classes. You could be a fighter, you're really good with a sword. You could be a paladin, you stand for truth and justice. You could be a cleric, a holy person, a healer. You could be a ranger, archer. You could be a thief, someone who hides in the shadows and assassinates, backstabs, and gathers information, bluffs, convinces people of things that aren't true. Or you could be a sorcerer. You could be a wizard. Two types of spellcasters. The wizards come to their spells through careful study, as I said earlier in the video. The sorcerers have an innate knack for spellcasting. I refer to you as wizards because you're here learning about my spells. You are receiving my spell. I'm spelling it out and casting it forth to you. I'm being a little bit ridiculous with the words, but this is truly what spellcasting means. It's how they describe it in the game, and it's how it affects, really plays out in the real world, as far as I understand it. It's just different wording, but when you think of magic, you know, okay, so you got these, you know, you think a wizard shoots a fireball or something, but go back and watch Lord of the Rings. You won't see fireballs. You won't see Gandalf shooting fireballs with his staff, something like that's a video game. What you will see is he will carefully and intentionally make very specific moves and predictions and forecasts, and he'll show up just at the right time. How? Through careful study and research, he's come to cast his spells correctly, and very high-level intelligence, an epic amount of wisdom has allowed him to have seemingly magical capabilities. He shows up as the sun rises, with the sun behind him, as he comes down the hill at Helm's Deep, and his army is able to supersede the much greater army with the sun at their back, because the blinding effect of the sun rising, it wasn't a spell. He didn't cast a spell and rise the sun. He showed up then. He showed up when the sun was gonna be there. That's real wizardry. They describe, let me give one more example. In the game Dungeons and Dragons, they describe a spell called Hold Person, which means the spellcaster can, you know, go like, ha, and you like hold them in place or something like that. How does that make sense? Well, you know, imagine a fighter's in combat you know, the two fighters are swinging swords at each other, and then the wizard over here goes, you know, and just like says something and moves his hands or something like that, and then the one fighter completely freezes and gets like held in place, like paralyzed. And then the other fighter is able to completely destroy him because he's unable to defend himself. What seems very magical that would be possible. You imagine maybe like some like electrical like shackles like shooting forth out of the wizard's hands and like wrapping the person up or something like that. That's fantasy. The reality is the wizard has carefully selected the correct wording and incantations and somatics in order to have this effect on that person in a certain way. He might say something like, you think your mother died 20 years ago, but the reality is she's actually a prisoner in a certain shackle in a different a town where she's been held for many years, and I can give you that information and you may, through the careful selection of words, stun the fighter so much that he completely lost his attention and ability to concentrate on the fight. That's spellcasting. That's real wizardry. And that's what it means